after match week 1. The standings are updated. Welcome back to Tribe Biñho Network. I'm Aiden in studio with Sammy, Diego, and G. So, after match week 1 in that first game, Real FC had a come-from-behind victory late in that second half to win 5-4 over Tropicos City. Sammy, what did you think of that game?
You know, my prediction went wrong, so that's why I don't bet. But anyways, you know, this Sammy showed why you don't ever give up in Biñho, and it really doesn't matter how many goals you gave up against yourself, how many positions you let the opponent have a nice strike, or many times when the opponent just had a killer offense that was just hidden from any range and it felt like you couldn't do anything. But, you know, came from behind second half, he pulled this shit together, and he made it work. And I'm still kind of surprised that he has that win because he wasn't very deserving of it. But the effort, I guess, is what got him it. And, you know, Tropicos City's probably kicking themselves right now. But, you know, they got the goals, just wasn't able to fully execute. But, you know, very impressive game by Real MC. And, you know, show some light to the young club. You know, you got to tip your hat to them. So they got my respect.
I definitely think they both came out strong and showed that they're a force to be reckoned with in this league. However, on Tropicos City's side, the 2 own goals is a problem. You know, I said it week 1, clearing is your best friend. You got to get good at it, and that's how you score goals. And forcing 2 own goals on yourself, that really put them in the hole towards the end of the game,
right,
where obviously we saw Real MC was able to come back and beat him by 1.
Correct. Sammy only needed to score 3 goals to get ahead.
Exactly.
And he did.
Exactly. And he did just that. You know, it's tragic for Tropicos City, but I think this is a learning curve. It's definitely a learning moment for them going forward. I think they'll be strong. But yeah, it all comes down to it.
Yeah, 1,000%. And yeah, if you don't clear, you might give one up on yourself, and
or 2.
Yeah, or 2. Usually in Biñho, we only see 1 own goal a game from a club. If it does happen, it's very rare you see a club with 2 own goals. And like you said, you know, he only needed 3. He only needed 3 goals to win. After, you know, Tropicos City, they looked like in the first half like they were just going to come out and just completely steamroll them. Exactly. But in the second half, it took a little switch.
And it had a chance too, because Sammy did have a.
He did take a foul.
He had a foul there. He had a yellow card. So.
Yeah. But he didn't let that yellow card stop him from playing the way he needed to. And like, hey, I thought the cards would stop people from playing as hard. You know what I mean? Slow down, maybe think a little bit. He just like, yo, I need to come back and I need to win. There's still time on the board. I can still get the ball in that. And that is what Sammy did. Hey, hats off to both the young teams for playing a great game. But this time, the own goals came back to bite Tropicos City.
Great. And then last Friday, we had BC Fumetas they kind of mopped the floor with Baked Biñhos with a 7-3 victory, scoring 5 of their goals. Once again, you guys said clearing's your best friend. Baked Biñhos there had 2 own goals for themselves.
I think Baked Biñhos came into this season with a little bit of the first day jitters. You know, not being able to win a game in the preseason definitely played a role in that. And you know, this is a league you got to win it. This is a league you got to win it. But starting off, he didn't look like he was lining up his shots. Definitely wasn't taking any direct shots or shots at the goal, mostly playing the wing. It just seemed like he didn't know what he was doing up there. And to be honest, BC Fumetas just took full advantage. As we could see, this game ended before the second half. It was over. He scored the final 7, and that was the end of it. It was just kind of an abysmal performance by Baked Biñhos. Hats off to BC Fumetas, great opponent, and he just kind of had his way with him that day.
Yeah, you know, it just seemed like there was some sort of like a lack of an offensive game plan. And you may seem like sometimes think, yeah, but you just may seem simple, but it's like there's so many ways that you can.
Levels to it.
Right, exactly. There's so many ways that you can approach your offense in Biñho. And if you're not too confident, you'll find yourself just, all right, I'm going to just try a bunch of stuff. And then it's like not consistent, because then if you stick with one thing and you keep trying to get that same shot, one's going to fall. But, you know, that just shows what a testament to being a young club. You know, just trying to find your foot. You know, trying to find your placement. You know, and you can't really fault them. You know, like there isn't any much foundation to lay on. So it's just finding yourself in these games, and that's what happens. How you find your identity, and even if it's with losses, you know, those build character. And that'll just build your defense.
I mean, judging from the stats, I guess Tropicos City and Biñhos have the same identity because they both gave up 2 goals. It's kind of they just both couldn't do it, and that cost them. I mean, BC Juventus only had to score 5.
Right.
Baked Biñhos gave them 2 to start the game, and that was kind of he ran with it.
Do you think BC Fumeta's clean game of just 5 goals, no fouls, no own goals played a factor though? Because I mean, like you said, Baked Biñhos and Tropicos City kind of have that same identity of 2 own goals.
I would say so. I say maybe they probably came out with a game plan and just, I'm just gonna get shots in that area. I'm put the ball inside the box to force maybe a red card attempt on the other club. So maybe just not worrying about, where do I go with this? Just get the ball, hit it as hard as you can, but not too hard so it doesn't bounce all the way back to your side. Right. So really just staying true to the game plan, I feel like, is what really helped the Fomentas really come out and just get the solid win overall. With a team that didn't really have too much of a game plan.
100%. Right, and then that third game, Club Shiesty was hosting Cujo's United, and a controversial call at the end, as you said yourself, Sammy, ended up in a draw, a 2-2 draw, and each team will be given 1 point towards the ladder in Group A, as Real MC sits in first, as they're both tied for second with 3 points.
You know,
or they're tied for second with 1 point. Sorry,
right.
Real MC has 3.
But you know, watching that, and it's beautiful to see the day and age that we live in, to go back in the cameras post game and be like, okay, that was just a really fast-paced game. It looks like it might have been a goal, but, just missed. I don't know. I mean, I think that both those teams played a really clean game. I think that it was a testament to the pace and how the pace of a game is so it stays linear within each other's game. You know what I'm saying? One team is going at that pace, you're going to stay with that pace. So then you see how the goals kind of stay close together unless there's a true blowout. But, I think that's just really testament. And, Real MC is really smiling ear to ear right now, seeing these 2 teams, not come out with the win. So I think
on the leaderboard now.
Right. I think so. For that group, it just shows us anything can happen here in Biñho, and that was just a really very wild card outcome. I was not expecting that.
No, he's very happy he's at the top of the leaderboard. But going back to your statement on the fast pace of the game, I think it was fast paced, not a lot of goals, right. But it was very fast paced. They were just kind of taking shots back and forth. Nothing was really getting to the net, not even getting to the box. They were kind of just playing back and forth at midfield at that point.
What did you think of the red card taken from Cujo's United? He ended up winning the call, and he took off his right wing back there, but
yes.
Do you think that altered the game a little bit, or changed the pace at all?
I think it was definitely a crushing blow to have your to get the red card and have your player removed from the game, because that's a crushing blow in any scenario. But at the same time, I don't think it affected him that much because he was able to get the tie out of it. It could have been a lot worse than just the tie. You know what I mean? As soon as that last man's out, it opens up a wide variety of shooting lanes that you can make to get into the goal.
Correct. And sometimes the red cards could play a thing against the team that doesn't get the red card called against them, because they think now they have an open lane and they try to do too much and they just completely miss the shots.
And they think that they have, and that the last factor is that the coin flip is way more important than even getting the card, because if you get to pick your player, you're just going to take off one of the wings, and it's very strategic. But then if it's the other guy, if it's your opponent, then it's it feels like it's so much worse, when you don't get that deciding factor, it's fuck, I'm exposed. It's you taking off everything. It's you could have hit it, you can hide it and hide the insecurity in your defense. But
And you always get a little shaken up when you lose a defender on the
There's
field.
any
But
outcomes
at the
can
same
happen,
time, you
but-
actually have to breathe a sigh of relief when
For real.
the opposing team can't capitalize.
Right.
Which obviously, as we saw, Club Shiesty was unable to do, and now he's sitting with a big fat 1 in the draw column. You know what I mean?
And it forces your opponent's offense. If they see one thing, it's like, all right, I'm gonna try and expose that, but it's like that's not your game plan. So you know, it's like it's a mind game for sure.
I definitely think both teams will bounce back after this draw, though. It's
almost a definite.
Exactly, 100%.
So after the first match week in Group A, Real MC is in first with 3 points. They are 1-0-0, and then tied for second is Club Shiesty and Cujos United at 0-0-1. Over in Group B, we have BC Fumentas leading the way with 3 points, 1-0-0, and then tied for second with both 0 is Baked Biñhos 0-1-0, and Tropicos City with that same record. And after this first match week, like we said, we had Real MC with a come-from-behind victory, 5-4 over Tropicos City on Thursday. And on Friday, we had BC Fumentas a striking blow, 7-3 win over Baked Biñhos. And Saturday was a draw between Cujos United and Club Shiesty. So we will catch you this Thursday, for match week 2 kickoff between Tropicos City, hosted by the Baked Biñhos. We will see you there.